So what happened in 2004 was this. I had recently received the baptism of the Holy Spirit only about a week before this happened. So I'm on fire. I mean, and you can't tell me. I am on absolute fire. God is so real to me at that moment that he's in every breath, every eyelid blink, every heartbeat is just, Jesus is so real. And I had come across some Christian guys that grew up in church. I'm in prison, so most of these guys were African-American guys, and I'm telling them, hey, man, this is what happened. One of them was a good buddy of mine. He knows what happened, and he's just, man, he's so thankful. But these other guys, they were not as thankful because none of them had received the baptism of the Holy Spirit. So they were just like, well, we're going to have a meeting on the rec yard, and you're more than welcome to attend. And, brother, we'll be out there preaching the word. And I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. Yeah. And they're being a little, something's off. I don't know what's off. I'm just like, man, I'm on fire for Jesus. I'm walking out to rec. As I'm walking out to rec, I see this older black dude is in a wheelchair. And he's being pushed by this real big muscle-bound black dude that I had seen before in church. I know he's a Christian dude. I don't know anything about the guy in the wheelchair other than he's an old dude and he's in a wheelchair. I've got my Bible, man. I got my big old study Bible. You know what I mean? I think I was about, in 2004, I guess I'd have been about 27. And man, come on. I received the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I was speaking in tongues, man. I'm on fire. So I go down with all these dudes and we go way, way, way to the other side of this rec yard. So you figure we go maybe 250 yards away. We're up under this big tree on this table. And one of them, the guys, the orator, the preacher among the group, he said, we're going to start today and such and such. I thought we were going to talk about the Holy Spirit. And what happened with me? No. He was going to take the stage here and he was going to bring the word. So we went to wherever we went, Ezekiel somewhere back in the Old Covenant, and he was going to give us this revelation. And he just got up there, man, and this was something that he always did, apparently. And there were people all over on the rec yard. This prison had like almost 2,000 people in it, and he's out there preaching, man. And he's being loud, and he's doing this, and that. And I'm like, what is going on? You know what I mean? And I'm not used to church, you know what I mean, at all. I've just been a drug smuggler and a criminal my whole life. And now I'm a born again Christian for about a year, and I received the baptism of the Holy Spirit. And I'm just like, I'm praying in tongues. And at this moment, I'm looking, I'm like, man, what is going on? And I can, even at that, I could tell God's not in, but the other guys around, man, they're just like, man, amen, brother. And I'm just like, what is going on? And the Holy Spirit whispered to me. And he whispered to me about the old black fella that was in that wheelchair. And when he did, I stood up from the table. I got my study Bible laid out right there. I stood up from the table and I didn't even say bye or turn around. I took off sprinting, left the Bible and all, and ran to the other end of the rec yard all the way down the track. And I found that old black dude. He was still in the wheelchair with the other dude. And I said, hey, brother, you want to get healed, man? And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, I want to be healed, man. He said, I ain't walked in 2 years. I said, brother, that's why I'm here. I'm fixing to pray for you if it's cool. He's like, yeah. So the other dude, the big dude, he's also a Christian, but he's religious. Here I come looking like a wild man. Man, I started praying for this dude, right? Now remember, there's people everywhere. I'm praying Jesus drop the fire on them. Holy Spirit go in them and heal them. And I'm laying hands on them. I'm praying for them. And before I really realize what's going on, I'm praying in tongues. And it is coming out of me loud. And if you ever heard somebody praying in tongues loud, you're like, what is going on? And I'm just letting loose. And I'm looking around as I'm doing it. And people all over the rec yard is watching. And I mean, there's people down there from everywhere. You're down in Florida. So that's the closest geographical federal prison to Haiti and Jamaica and the Bahamas. And you got guys down there from everywhere, from Cuba. And, you got everybody else too. White, black, Spanish, everything. And everybody's just watching like, man, this dude's tripping. We're about to see something crazy here because this dude they don't know. Am I having some type of fit? Am I on drugs? What is this? But the old man knows because the power of God hit him. Wow. And this old man jumped up out of that wheelchair and started walking around that ping pong table, right? So he's walking around the ping pong table. I have not stopped praying in tongues so loud. I never tell this story, y'all. I mean, I may have told it maybe 5 or 6 times in my life, but it was so unbelievable, even today. So I'm praying in tongues loud. So the old man starts marching. He's got a wind on him now. He's pumped up. So that pumps me up. And when he's doing that and that pumps me up, I turn around and I start kicking that wheelchair, right? So the other dude, the big dude's like, yo, chill out. But I can't chill out. I'm too pumped up at this moment. I don't know what to do because I didn't know the Bible. You know what I mean? I knew enough to get saved and receive the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I had already read the Bible, you know what I mean, once at least. But I didn't know it like that, man. And I was just going off, man. And that old man was doing his thing, man. People was like, what the? And everybody was tripping. And I'm tripping because I'm still praying in tongues loud. I never did stop. Let me tell you what happened. The older dude, he should have never did this. Not the older dude. I'm gonna actually put this on the big dude. Well, they say, okay, time for a move. Everybody can leave rec and go back to the unit where they live in the buildings. So the old dude tells the old man, he's like, well, get back in the chair. I'll push you back to the unit. Now, I didn't know any better. I should have just told him, brother, why would you get back in that chair, brother? You healed. You out here running around a ping pong table. You might as well walk back. But he got back in the chair. He shouldn't have done that. Okay, so now he's back to being pushed out again. But he asked me, excuse me, he said, will you come back to my unit with me? Now, if I go back to his unit, I'm out of bounds. This is what's in part 5 tomorrow when I drop part 5, but I'll give y'all the whole thing. If I walk back to his unit, I could get into trouble. I'll be out of bounds. But at this point, I don't care, man. They might as well lock me up on Mars or something. You know what I mean? I'm full of the Holy Spirit. I don't care about anything. You can't explain this stuff to people that don't know God, so I'm like, yeah, I'll go in there with you. I don't know what the old man's got planned. Well, come to find out, this old man's been in prison forever, and everybody knows him. And so we walk back in the unit, and the other guy pushes him up to the table in his wheelchair, and I'm sitting in a chair, and looks like the council's gathering here, you know what I mean? And then a couple other real old black cats come up, and they got the kufis on, which signifies that they're Muslims, and they're either Nation of Islam or they're, Sunni or whatever type of Muslim that they are. Nation of Islam is not really Muslim. This is a little bit wacky and real crazy, but okay. So they're all sitting around, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And he starts telling them what happened. These is his buddies. Been his buddies for maybe 25, 30 years in prison. He's telling them what happened. So the old wise Muslim dude with the big gray beard, the black dude with the kufi on, he looks at him and said whatever his name was, and he said, if you're really healed, then walk down to that water fountain right now and come back. Now that water fountain was about, I don't know, maybe 40 yards away. Maybe it was like 100 feet or something. And the old man looked at me. Well, I don't know what, I believe, brother, we know what happened. You know what I mean? That old man looked at me and he said, yeah, all right. He looked at the other old man, locked the wheels down that thing, got up out of that wheelchair, walked down there, got him a drink of water, and walked back, right? So the old Muslim dude's like, dang. So he's like, what happened? And the old man said, man, I told you what happened. So he looks at me, he's like, hey, will you pray for my cellie? And I'm like, yeah, I'll pray for him. What's wrong with him? He said, man, he's deathly sick, man. So I'm like, yeah, all right. So I go into their cell, into a Muslim cell, because in prison, that's how they're designated like that. This is a black cell. This is a white cell. This is a gang cell. This is a Muslim cell. This is a such and such cell. You can't just go in there and live in any old cell. It ain't like that. People think it is. It's not. So I go into this cell. I ain't really supposed to be in there. The dude is in there sick, man. I go in there. It's a Muslim dude. And what do you think your Pastor Roosters does? Boom! I put my hand on this dude's chest and I start praying in tongues so loud that anybody in the unit could hear me. Even though I was in the cell, I got my hand on his chest and I'm praying in tongues loud. Man, and this dude's like, what in the world? I didn't even prepare him for it. You know what I mean? I'm just praying in tongues. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even know what happened in that situation. When I got done, it seemed like he was glad that I took my hand off of him. But I said, man, how you feeling, brother? He said, man, I feel better. I feel good. And it seemed like he really just wanted me to kind of go, but he was like, I feel better, man. He said, I do. I said, all right, cool. And I went back out there and the old man was sitting around. But this is what happened. I looked at that old man. Now, this is where the devil whispered to me. And this is where I needed a seasoned, veteran, Holy Spirit-filled Christian around me. Because the enemy was whispering to me at this moment, And I didn't put this in part 5 of the video, but this is what happened. The enemy started whispering to me, and he said, "You look like a daggone fool. Look at you. You look like a fool in this prison, man." And as I was sitting there, it hit me. And I said something to the old man. I said, "Man, I kind of feel like I feel a little foolish, man." And that old Muslim man looked at me, and his buddy looked at me too. And he said, the old Muslim man said, "I wish I could be a fool for God like that." I never forgot it my whole life. Here was the most religious looking man you ever seen. And he's looking at me, man, a wild-eyed, young Christian dude, just started a 22-year prison sentence. And he tells me that he wishes that he could be a fool for God, just like I was right there. I never forgot it my whole life. I'm going to be 47 this year.